Good morning, everyone. Let's have a look at what's going on in the market. I apologize if there's a bit of noise going on in the background. The gardener's busy with the weed eater right outside the window, but I wanted to get the video out sooner rather than later, so let's carry on. Once again, this is just a quick update. I did quite a long video yesterday, so I'll link that at the end of this one. I did a live stream as well, so you can go and check that out. And if you don't want to miss out on the members live streams and the exclusive member stuff, there's a join button below this video. You can click on that, become a member for $1 a month. Let's have a look at crypto. Bang, we're going up today. Ethereum, massive rally. Just this morning, actually. Bitcoin too. A little bit on XRP, not as much. So we're approaching the point now where I'll start adding some more Bitcoin on. I want to close above 100,000 and hold above 100,000 in order to do so. It will be below the top of this order block and the rising trend line, which adds a bit of risk to this position. But I do believe that 100,000 hold will set this next leg moving up. We haven't retested the CME gap below us, so we're moving higher. We've now closed the CME gap above us, so all pretty good. My target for Bitcoin is still roughly about $150,000. It could go a lot higher, or maybe we won't even get there. I don't know just yet. Holding long Ethereum and XRP as well. I'll be adding to my long Ethereum position on a close above 2,100 and my long XRP position on a close above $2.36. On gold, I took profit on the long side of the hedge. I'm holding the short position, waiting for a move down below the 20-period moving average, the green line, and this green level here, the Fibonacci level, to add more to that short position. At the same time, we remain long on silver. That's a hedge against the short gold position. These are still not fully worked out yet. We'll have to find out how we finish this week off. But so far, so good. It looks like we rejected the 78.6% Fibonacci here on gold at about 3,450, and we're moving down. As I said, I still have a long position on silver. That's offsetting that short gold, and that's a kind of a hedge position. One of these will be adjusted one way or the other, probably later on today, maybe tomorrow. Right, going across the stocks, moving up. Once again, just to reiterate what I said in the last video, yesterday in the live stream too, looking for a move up on the NASDAQ, slightly higher, probably up to the 100-period moving average and the underside of this channel line, the bottom part of it. And that could take us up to about 20.5, and at a stretch, I think we could get to 21 on the NASDAQ. I'm also not ruling out a retest of the recent all-time high and maybe even a probe fractionally above that. Note where the top 200-period Bollinger Band is and the top channel line. I'm going to move this blob along a little bit further to this side, up to around about there maybe. And notice that if we do break above this recent all-time high, we've got the top Bollinger Band and the top channel line much, much further up. That's about 24.5. Could we get there? Probably unlikely on this first attempt or this next attempt, but it's always possible. So I'm looking to take profit on the NASDAQ long side, somewhere up into this region, starting at around 20.5. And the same thing on the S&P, looking to take profit on the long side, up into this blob and maybe higher, depending on the caveats I spoke about regarding the NASDAQ moving potentially, unlikely, but potentially to new all-time highs. But first attempt will probably be in that blob. It's Thursday today, folks, and if we have a strong close to this week, it's going to put more and more pressure on the upside of this market and lend more credence to potentially a much higher level in the NASDAQ and the S&P. We remain long on Mara, Target, MSTR, Tesla, Coinbase, and Google. And I believe there's a big trade announcement coming up later on this afternoon from Donald J. Trump. So that will affect all of these markets, obviously. And in anticipation of that, it seems like these markets may have got something of a wind of what might be going on, or at least a bit of a bid in anticipation. Currencies, we're still moving sideways on the euro. We're long on the euro, but we're also long on the dollar Swiss franc. Once again, the reasoning and rationale behind these trades are contained in the last videos, which I'll link at the end of this one. But generally, the dollar index has broken down through its support, probably looking to move lower, but we may get a bit of a bounce first of all. I'm not ruling out a move back up to about 102.50, maybe 103.50 on the dollar index, and that could drag the euro and the pound and the other majors down by a similar amount, a couple of hundred pips, 200, 300, 400 pips. If that does happen, we might get more of a bounce on the dollar yen back into these areas that I'm looking to sell into to join this carry trade unwind downwards. I thought after this week's move down that we wouldn't get a chance, but we are bouncing back up a bit now, and maybe we'll get a move back up to the trend line or slightly higher to look to sell dollar yen for a move down below 140 into much lower levels, potentially down into the 130s and 120s. So that's our positioning, long on the euro US dollar and long on the dollar Swiss franc. We're also short on the euro Japanese yen. Once again, I've covered this many times. Moving up a tiny bit again today after a concerted move down, a little bit of a bounce yesterday and potentially trying to reverse. If we do see the dollar getting a bit of a bid, it could also drag the euro yen back up again, annoyingly and repetitively. Right, let's go across to energies. We're still short on natural gas. We took another tranche at the underside of the trend line yesterday, looking for this to move down. I have to say this is looking quite constructive. Looks like we've got a potential ascending or rising triangle here. We've got a flat top with a rising bottom that looks quite bullish. So we may end up having to hedge this one again. Looks quite bullish actually. We're still under the trend line, but we do have that ascending triangle. And we are now above the 20 and the 200 period moving averages on the 4-hour chart. Let's have a look at the day chart quickly. These are the futures on the Henry Hub over at Black Bull. And once again, you can see a bit of a constructive pattern there on the day chart trying to rise up into that trend line. On the day chart, we've still got all this stuff above us, the bigger areas that I'm looking to sell into. Back at around about 375, the 100 period moving average and the trend line. That would make a double top there. We've also got the 50 period moving average, market structure break, 375. And then potentially some stronger levels at around about 3.9 and then up into $4 and slightly above. Let's see how we go. My most favorite scenario remains a hold beneath this trend line. Let's go back to the 4-hour chart. And with a bit of luck, we do have a little tweezer top there that might just hold it down. Let's see how we go. But no need for panic just yet. We've still only got a 30% position size on this, so we've got room to add up or down, whichever way this moves next. We're still long on WTI oil. Bit of a sell-off yesterday, and actually slightly concerning because we have a dark cloud cover candle, which is a reversal candle, but we're at the bottom of a range, so that kind of negates it in a way, but nevertheless it is looking weaker. Whether we can hold this trend line and move up back to Moab or not, I'm not sure, but I still think we're in this new $50 to $70 range. We're near the bottom of the range now, and I'm looking for a move back up to the top of the range. We could get up to 65, 67, and now to push above $70 back to the 200 period moving average, and maybe even the top of the channel, and that would take us into the mid to low 70s. There's nothing to say we can't go all the way back there, but in general, I think we're sort of looking at this lower range, and we should expect to trade more frequently, more often in this new lower range compared to the previous range of about 70 to about $100. So we're long on WTI, short on natural gas, and then going across the rand, we took a new position long the dollar, South African rand, just coming back to the 200 period moving average. Our last position was over there. We've now taken a new long position. I don't think we've been long on the dollar rand for quite a long time, so this is quite interesting. Simply a revisit to the 200. I don't know what drove this down. In other words, rand strength in the last couple of weeks. A little bit straight. 200 in a currency which I think generally overall should be weakening against the US dollar and the other currencies. And let's have a little go here. The target for this trade will be back up towards 20, and we reached there quite recently actually. And that's also a double top, along with the last time we reached around 20 rands to the dollar in May of 2023. So an interesting trade that, and I think we could get maybe a 5 or 10% rally on that. We're also long on TLT, getting a bit of a bump up yesterday as we saw the US10Y coming off. And then going to softs and grains, not much change really, but down on corn yesterday actually, but down on cotton. These are the ones that we're long on. Sugar down a fraction, soybeans down a fraction. Wheat, a big spike up and then all the way back down again. And then the ones that we're short on, cocoa moving up a little bit. Coffee moving sideways in a sort of bear flag, I suppose. And then orange juice, just a fraction down. We're short on coffee, cocoa, and orange juice. Well, thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Buttons are below. And if you'd like to join the channel for $1 a month, click the join button for exclusive members stuff as well. There'll be a members live stream tomorrow, so if you've joined, you can join the members live stream. And until then, take care. Charts looking sweet like a Dodge pie. Strategies tight, made I'm one fly guy. Fingers on fire, pockets getting deep. Gravy boat overflowing, losing no sleep. Stop loss in place, man, I'm wrapped up good. P's and Q's proper, no misunderstood. To the moon, diamonds in me hands. Forget the fun, I'm the man with plans. Profit traders popping, no time for scams.